I appreciate your interest in this operation. First, I'd like to introduce the people who will be speaking here today, and I'll start off with our Interim Police Chief, Rodney Bryant, and our United States Attorney, Mr. B.J. Pack, for the Northern District of Georgia. We wouldn't be here today if it weren't for the other men standing behind us, the leaders of these organizations. And I want to, in no specific order, but I want to introduce the agencies who are all part of this operation and have made it a success to date. The Drug Enforcement Administration, Homeland Security Investigation, ATF, United States Secret Service, GBI, and of course, the United States Attorney's Office and the Atlanta Police Department. In mid-August, the leaders that stand here today met with Chief Bryant to develop a comprehensive strategy to address the rise in violent crime here in the city of Atlanta. That culminated in an operation that we have called Operation Phoenix. And to keep it simple, Operation Phoenix is nothing more than a sustained, systematic, and coordinated law enforcement effort between federal, state, and local law enforcement to address the rising violent crime here in the city. In 10 short weeks after we started Operation Phoenix, we identified about a dozen individuals who we believe to be some of the most significant violent crime offenders in the city. We jointly investigated those individuals and brought the results to Mr. Pack, whose office brought federal charges against many of these individuals. We believe this initiative will slow the violence, and we also believe it should serve as a strong deterrent for anyone in the city who's contemplating participating in any violent crime activities. The bottom line is there are going to be consequences for committing violent crimes in Atlanta, and where we believe that it's necessary and warranted, we will do everything in our power to bring federal charges to the United States Attorney's Office to seek penalties at the federal level. So I would like to take just one quick moment and recognize the leadership of Interim Chief Rodney Bryant. Without the Chief's initiative and his ability to build partnerships and strong coalitions, we wouldn't be here. The Chief's vision for this initiative was clear to us from the beginning, and Chief, I'd like to thank you for all that you've done to bring this team together. But most importantly, we would all like to thank and recognize the men and women of the Atlanta Police Department who go out every day and put themselves in harm's way to protect all the citizens of Atlanta. Also, for our federal partners and state partners here, I'd like for the public to know that we've always enjoyed a strong relationship and partnership with the City of Atlanta and the Police Department. And today's announcement is simply just a show of the continuation of our joint efforts to keep the people of Atlanta safe. Very important is today's announcement isn't the conclusion of Operation Phoenix. It's quite the opposite. This is the beginning. This is simply the beginning, and this is phase one. So what I would anticipate is that this team will continue to work together, and we're going to identify the most violent criminal offenders, and we're going to bring those cases to the United States Attorney's Office to seek federal prosecution. So in the coming days, weeks, and months, you should anticipate more charges like you're going to hear today. To discuss those federal charges and to bring context from the United States Attorney's perspective and provide additional comments, I'd like to turn the briefing over to our United States Attorney, Mr. B.J. Pack.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Chief Bryant, for having us and hosting us here. Again, my name is B.J. Pack. I'm the United States Attorney for the Northern District of Georgia, and by virtue of that position, I am the Chief Federal Law Enforcement Officer of this district. The Northern District comprises 46 counties, the northern part of Georgia, which includes, of course, Fulton County and the city of Atlanta. Since I took office in October 17, my top priority was to reduce violent crime all across the district. We've seen actually an uptick in the prior years from about 15 to 16. After a multi-decade historic decline of crime and violent crime, this was very concerning. Through significant investment of resources from the federal law enforcement agencies, including the Department of Justice, in working closely with our state and local partners, we're able to turn the tide and make significant changes and declines in violent crime. Let me give you some statistics. From October 17 to mid-2020, our office, along with our federal partners, have identified, by using data and intelligence, 228 offenders that were responsible for driving up violent crime in our communities. Out of those offenders, we have brought federal charges against 212 offenders so far. 85% of those offenders had a Georgia criminal history. They, in aggregate, accumulated 5,600 different Georgia charges, including 1,200 violent crime and firearm offenses. They had over 2,100 arrests in 72 counties, resulting in 1,500 state convictions, and they were still out and about. Currently, out of those 228, we have obtained convictions for 92 of them, and the rest are awaiting trial. 81 of the 92 received a federal imprisonment sentence of at least 5.5 years, and 24 of those receiving an average imprisonment sentence of 9 years. And our data research partner has estimated that by taking out these individuals, violent offenders, we have prevented or avoided 2,300 new crimes that would have been committed by these individuals on the conservative end, in a more aggressive estimate, and up to 5,100 different crimes if these offenders were to keep offending at the rate that they were going the entirety of their sentence. And we were able to achieve this result despite lack of cooperation of one major district attorney locally. Just to put in perspective, 88% of those prosecuted by my office were from the Metro Atlanta area, and crimes are committed in the city of Atlanta and around Atlanta. Criminals do not know jurisdictional boundaries, nor do they care. However, reducing violent crime in the city of Atlanta is very, very important for us. We were having very positive trend until the COVID situation, including the civil unrest situation. Added to that, the turned-up rhetoric against police officers, and in certain premature prosecutorial decisions related to charging of police officers have significantly and negatively impacted our peace officers who are there every day protecting us. The men and women of APD, I heard that their morale is low and their resources have been stretched very thin, which resulted in decreased response times and overall decrease in enforcement in our communities, and in turn by leaving a vacuum. So there's really no surprise when the city's murder rate significantly exceeded the previous years and the violent crime rates are increasing. Because this is exactly what happens when one puts politics over people, prioritizing getting the next job over the current one, and pander to a group instead of holding true to the most important principles, despite its unpopularity. In spite this, I know that the men and women of law enforcement, especially the Atlanta Police Department, are dedicated to upholding the rule of law and to protect this city. Our authority as law enforcement to enforce the law comes from the people. Thus, our primary focus must be to protect the people. I'm proud to support the Atlanta Police Department and the federal law enforcement partners standing here with us and recommitting and reinforcing all of their efforts to combat violent crime that is creeping up in this city. With our joint efforts, I have confidence, as data has shown, that we will once again curb the increasing violent crime in the city. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Rodney Bryant, and on behalf of Mayor Keisha Lance Bottom, I would like to thank you all for covering this press conference, as well as my partners, both federally and state, in assisting us in combating this significant issue and concern that we have. How did we get here? We began to see crime start to increase in May of this year, which coincided with the opening of the city as it relates to people suffering from the stresses of COVID-19. And as those numbers began to spike, as we entered upon civil unrest, we saw the greatest numbers of homicides in our city. We had more homicides in the month of July than we had had in most previous years. As my team and I got together to work and to come up with ideas and solutions to figure out how do we resolve it and why this was occurring, there was a resilient group of men and women in our intelligence unit who provided the resources to continue to protect the men and women of this city. As they brought me down to give me some ideas of what we were seeing as it relates to violent crime, they showed me a network of individuals that they believed were truly committed to continuing violence and thought that they were having a significant impact on the crime that we were seeing inside the city. Immediately looking at this work, this vast work that they had delivered to the command staff, I recognized that we needed to bring in partnerships. And so immediately I called Chris Hacker over at the FBI, who I worked with prior to my retirement and had always had a strong partnership with, and asked for his assistance. And immediately we developed an idea to broaden the perspective of partnership, and we thought that this would really have a significant impact on what we were trying to accomplish. So I'd really like to thank Chris for his leadership, his continued support with the Atlanta Police Department in helping develop this organization and this operation, which I think will play significant dividends in securing this city. And so immediately after we developed the Operation Phoenix, the numbers started to save off as we started to make arrests of some of these individuals. There's no specific area in the city of Atlanta that these individuals did not touch. There was no specific crime other than their violence that they didn't, there was no level of crime that they did not have an impact on. This included gang affiliation, drug sales, and violent crimes alike. What we have begun to see, and what we is those numbers, those types of violent crime have started to diminish. And again, this is with the strong partnership with all the men and women that are here before me. Additionally, we thought that it was important to continue to broaden our partnerships with many of these federal operations. So one of the things that we have done was to continue to broaden that by partnering with all of them in a very analytical space so that we can provide each other more resources and bring more individuals to bear to fight crime in this city. Our partnership with the FBI connect the City of Atlanta and the department to enhance investigative skills to likes that we have not had before. We'll be able to disrupt drug sales and see declines as it goes throughout this city. Additionally, we have the ability to locate and apprehend violent offenders more quickly and move to certain cases to our federal prosecution. I want to assure the citizens of Atlanta that we are working to keep you safe. The men and women of the Atlanta Police Department are dedicated to protecting and serving the citizens of this city. This partnership gives us an additional layer of advanced resources to find and assess the targets of criminals, elements, and no place in our city is safe for you.